Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is Nicola Sturgeon's special friend making a complete arse of herself when she's been asked about the general election. Now, this story is taken from the Daily Express. Their journalist David Walker has written the article that I'll be referencing throughout this video, and his headline says Val McDermid makes an embarrassing gaffe as she confirms plans to vote the SNP at the general election. Quite why it's important to anybody other than Val McDermid and who Val McDermid is voting for is beyond me. However, apparently it's a big thing, right? Now, when she goes on to explain why, she makes a complete Roger Hunt of it, okay? The crime author is good pals, inverted commas, with former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, and and to the shock of no one, announced that she would be voting John Swinney's party at the next general election. Crime author Val McDermid made an embarrassing gaffe as she announced that she would once again be voting for the SNP at the general election. The writer is a good friend of former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon and is often pictured out and about with her after they bonded over their love of books. But when outlining her praise for the Nats and criticism of the Tories and Labour, the novelist got herself in a muddle by accusing Sir Keir Starmer's party of a policy they didn't even enforce. And she admitted that the SNP is likely to lose a number of seats when the Scots go to the polls on the 4th of July. She also come up with a cracking excuse for that, right? It's an absolute nailer. It's actually a good thing, apparently, that they're losing seats. An avid fan of breaking up the UK, Ms McDermott used the nasty Nat rhetoric of accusing Anis Sarwar and Douglas Ross of running branch offices. She also hit out at the media claiming it was unionist leading while writing for The Guardian. In her claim that Labour are backing the opening of new North Sea oil and gas exploration, which raised the most eyebrows, in the rant she wrote, and now we see Nigel Farage claiming he's going to mount a takeover of the Tories, which will only align them more closely with the far right. Because the far right's like the worst thing you can ever throw at anybody, isn't it? The Tories themselves are a busted flush, and Keir Starmer's Labour Party is cleaving to policies that will align it with the English voters who absconded to the right in the last election. Tough on immigration, talking about increasing privatisation of the NHS, backing the opening of new North Sea oil and gas exploration, welcoming bolting Tories into the party. We even hear Labour figures admit their admiration for Margaret Thatcher. Jesus God, how dare they, yeah? None of this is what Scottish people seem to want. That's him when they talk about everybody again, isn't it, these mad Nats? But the claim about oil and gas is completely wrong. Labour have backed a policy of no new oil and gas licences being handed out, while the SNP have refused to commit to this, instead repeatedly stating that they need to be done on a case-by-case basis and after a climate compatibility test. There's a lovely big picture of an oil rig. In fact, it's only the Scottish Tories who have backed protecting the industry after sector bosses claimed that completely banning new exploration would cost thousands of jobs. And it's been a hotly contested issue during the election. Sam Taylor, chief executive of pro-union think tank These Islands, branded the writer out of touch. He said, Val McDermid is so out of touch, she complains that Labour is more favourable towards new oil and gas exploration than SNP, but both parties would agree this is false. The opposite is true. So you made a clown of yourself. Ms McDermid goes on to claim that Labour, Tories and Lib Dems are branch offices who do what they are told, she's added. Whatever Anis Sarwar or Douglas Ross claims, they remain under the thumb of Westminster bosses. That's not gone so well for Scotland in recent years. As soon as they return to power, they'll forget all about Scotland again. Okay. And in an attempt, this is great, right? And an attempt to temper expectations with polling pointing at a disastrous result for John Swinney and the SNP. She even suggests that losing seats might be no bad thing. She wrote, maybe we can learn from our old alliance with the French. They've got an expression, now you need to excuse my French, as they say, reculeur pour moi sateur. If I have any French watchers and that's a mile out, I am sorry, okay? I am merde. Take a few steps back to make a better jump, apparently that translates to. A few years at the edges of power could give the next generation of leaders time to learn their trade. The SNP ship of state has sprung some serious leaks in recent years. But compared with the alternatives, how can I not vote SNP? Well, you could not vote SNP. It's quite easy because you'll have about 7 or 8 choices in your ballot paper. But your wee pal Nicola might not like that. And you are a crackpot nationalist. Who can he see right for wrong? If you actually think it's great and it'll be a good idea if we lose some seats, I'm delighted for you because you're a crackpot, because you don't understand basic mathematics, arithmetic, and understanding the financial predicament that the SNP are in right now. That's right, they've not got a pot to piss in, right? And if you think it's not a bad thing that they have a disastrous result at Westminster, you'll be totally unaware of the effect that will have on their finances, because currently they get £1.2 million a year because of the number of MPs they have, and they take off those MPs about £500,000 or £600,000 in ministerial levy. So if they halve their number of seats, they halve their income. You've not thought this through, have you? You actually need to start thinking about things before you open your trap. But I think this is wonderful. This is the second video I've done today where SNP, and now some of their cult member followers, revert to doing what the SNP do, right? It's like SNP doing SNP. It's what they do all the time. They just blame other people, right? And this time you've decided to have a go at other people and tell everybody they're shite, and used a terrible example of oil to try and scare people from voting Labour. You've done that because you're a crackpot, right? You should stick to reading books and doing whatever you do with Nicola Sturgeon's in the confines of your own privacy, because none of us give a shite, right? So you want to be, I don't know, I don't even know why people are interested. I don't know why you feel you have to go out. I mean, if it wasn't for your wee friendship with Nicola Sturgeon and that time you took your money back out of Wraith Rovers because you didn't like a player who'd been playing with them for over a year at the time, then nobody would actually know who you are. There would be people watching this video that'll be scratching their head thinking, who's Val McDermid? Right? They'll not have a clue. But for some reason, you feel it's important for everybody to know why you're voting SNP, and the reasons you've given us are complete shite, right? Inaccurate and complete nonsense. Actually telling lies. So, probably no wonder actually that you're so close to those in power who are still running the SNP, right? The Sturgeonites are still running that party, let's not kid ourselves. And you have been totally brainwashed by them. You're probably not as stupid as you're acting, right? I'm kind of going to give you the benefit of the doubt here and suggest you're not a half-wit, right? So therefore, you're just brainwashed to act like a half-wit. Because if you actually sat down and considered what you've said, and 2 big points in this article, the first one being why folks shouldn't vote for Labour, which is a complete bollocks notion and lie, and the second one suggesting that it might be no bad thing if the SNP lose some seats. And what you said about, how is it, bringing up the new, give it a few years on the edge of power to give the next generation of leaders time to learn their trade. Is that not what Hamza was? Was he not the golden child? Because he made a Roger Hunt of that in what, 12, 13 months, right? So who have you got? Who have you got coming up? Is it Mary McCallan? She's a crank. She actually believes that people around the world phone Scotland for leadership fucking knowledge, right? To pick your brains about how good we run our country. What in? Do you know you probably, well you could, right? But you'd probably need to kill people, right? If you set your stall out to actually bring the average life expectancy of a country down in 17 years, by any legal means you would probably find it difficult. The SNP have managed to do that. That's how shite the SNP are, right? You probably couldn't do that in any other country in the world without illegal means, right? How can you be 17 years in and manage to reduce the life expectancy of Scottish people. But you keep buying the shite, right? So, if you liked the video, get a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing. But most importantly of all, unless you're Val McDermid, or wee cuddly pal Nicola, or any other crackpots in the SNP, see everybody else. Have a great day. Cheery bye now.